You want to hear another semi-embarrassing admittance of how much I really loved this movie? For a theater class, we were supposed to do monologues.
Oh, God, no.
And so
Clint.
I took the monologue that Top Dollar did where he's talking about Devil's Night. And I did that monologue for a theater class.
And then you got called to the principal's office and they were like, we are concerned about your son, Mrs. Clint's mom.
Yeah.
We feel like he needs some therapy.
Yeah. I love that somebody probably went before Clint that was like, to be or not to be. That is the question. And Clint's like, this is Top Dollar from The Crow.
I want all of you boys to be able to look me straight in the eye one more time and say, are we having fun or what?
He's wearing a wig.
Chewing on an eyeball or something.
Making stuff is hard.
Especially in the entertainment world,
where big egos, bigger budgets, and just plain bad luck
can make things go horribly wrong.
And we're going behind the scenes of these disastrous, never-ending,
and often dangerous productions
to find out why
it was a shit show. Hello, friends. This is It Was a Shit Show. I am Ian, joined by Clint.
Hello.
And Ray.
Hello.
It's Devil's Night is almost upon us, which means our Hallows Eve friend is here. Sequoia, welcome.
I almost made a ghost noise, but I think I did that last time. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. And then all of a sudden I was like, no, it can't be a repeat. I can't do it again.
You should have made a crow noise.
I don't know if I can. I don't know. I can't make a crow noise. Oh, that's it. That's good. That was good.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why y'all pay me the big bucks.
You should do that just sort of sporadically throughout the episode, Clint. I think just to really set the
You got
mood.
it.
Yeah,
we'll do.
Anytime we say the crow.
Well, I'm still working on an Alien video, and I was planning on having us do an Alien Resurrection as a podcast episode, and I thought it'd be a good one for us to do today, but then I felt bad that you would really need to watch 4 Alien movies as homework. So, and then I was thinking we could do Beetlejuice, the new Beetlejuice, because how long it took to make that, but last time, Sequoia, you said that the films I had you watch were progressively getting worse.
Yes, I did say that.
And
oh boy, did you deliver?
Oh, interesting. Okay, so Alien Resurrection is not a great movie, and so I was like, okay. Plus all the homework, and then we saw Beetlejuice, and me and Jenny Ray hated it, and so I was like, okay, so I deliberately wanted to pick something that was widely regarded as good, but putting that to the side for now, with the release of the Crow remake a few months back, which is widely regarded as terrible, and I didn't want everybody to watch that, I thought, let's watch the original, which has this huge cult status and is considered by most to be good. And I've never seen it, and it's very gothy with its makeup and all that. So I figured it'd be a good Halloween podcast episode. I had no idea that it took place the night before Halloween. That was a complete coincidence.
You did not know going in. Wow.
Yeah. No, okay. that was really random.
I assumed that was totally on purpose. Yeah. You could have not told me that. You could have been like, this was us doing really good planning, and I would have been like, great job.
I'm just gonna wait for Ian to tell me when a good time is for me to explain my whole relationship with this movie.
Wow. Your goth period.
I loved this movie so much that for 3 years in a row, I went as the Crow for Halloween.
Of course you did.
So you did have a goth period.
I think it's funny because I'm not a goth at all, really. But I loved the makeup, I loved the look, I loved Brandon Lee. And I watched it again the other night with Lisa, and she's like, "You loved this movie?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, why? And I could not tell her why.
Yeah.
So, Clint, what you're saying is that you blame Ian for absolutely destroying your memory of this film and everything that it meant to you.
Take that,
Is
nostalgia.
that what you're saying?
I know. Look, I still hold a fondness for it in my heart. Will I ever dress up as the Crow for Halloween ever again? No, probably not.
Oh.
First of all, I don't have the hair or the physique for it. But like, I still enjoy. Like, listen, I've seen, other than the 2024 remake, I've seen all the other Crow films, and this one is by and large the best Crow film. They all suck.
Sequoia, have you ever seen this?
No, I had not. I only just I didn't know anything about it. I knew nothing about it. All I knew was that it got remade this year and did like very, very badly in the box office. That was the only context I had going in.
Okay. All right. Well, that gives us a little bit of a baseline. So 3 of us never seen it before, and Clint.
I saw it a lot.
It's a very core part of his life.
Clint's favorite movie, possibly.
For Clint's closet. For Clint's closet, I honestly tried to find the pictures I had of me as the Crow, and I don't even know where to begin looking for those.
Oh no!
Your mom totally has them.
Well, that's the thing is, like, once I got married, my mom's like, "Hey, get all your shit out of my house." So I have everything I've ever owned now.
And then Lisa burned them. She was like,
yeah. She's like, no. She's like, we don't want any of this. She's like, what? Really?
Right.
Okay, so fair warning. If you know this story, this is going to be a heavier, sadder episode than usual. I don't want to feel like we're exploiting the tragedy that happens in this at all. But again, we are a film history podcast, and this is an important one. And it is truly an interesting one because of its real life parallels and extremely eerie coincidences. So, with that said, let's talk The Crow.
I do believe that there's a great film there, and it stands on its own merits. And I'm proud of the film. One can look to a number of films that followed in its wake in terms of look and feel and design. It really did launch a different approach to futuristic films and comic book adaptations because it really is a very unique piece of art and filmmaking with a central performance by Brandon Lee that is really, truly incredible.
All right, Clint, what did you bring? Oh, God. Was not expecting that.
You never are expecting the Crow.
You never are. So, all right, for Clint's closet, I'm 99% sure I haven't shared this before, but I decided to do it again anyway. So, the actor who played the character T-Bird, I was looking through IMDb, seeing what else I've seen him in, and he played Charlie in the John Wick films, the guy who comes up and cleans his house after John Wick kills all those dudes. You know, like, I need a reservation for 12. That's the same actor. Yeah. So I brought my John Wick marker.
Wow.
From John Wick 2.
That's deep.
See, it opens up and like there's the blood, right? You're like,
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, this is a very we're gonna bookend that. So put a pin in that.
All right.
But after all that bullshit about how much you love the Crow and dressed up as the Crow, and you show off something from John Wick,
I have zero Crow memorabilia.
Hurry, kick him out. Kick him out of the recording.
Kick him out. Yeah.
No, I'm here.
Okay, let's get started. The Crow comic book debuted in 1989, created by James O'Barr as a way to deal with the loss of his fiancée, who was killed by a hit-and-run drunk driver and never caught.
Oh, sad.
So now you can like immediately see where that kind of idea for the Crow kind of comes from, right? Coming back and exacting revenge. Okay, around 1990, John Shirley, a screenwriter and sci-fi novelist, pitches his comic book idea, Angry Angel, and he pitches it to the same publisher that does The Crow. The publisher says no because his story is too similar to The Crow. And Shirley goes, And he goes to the comic store, buys it, loves it, and wants to make it a movie. So I thought that story was going to go a totally different route where he's like, well, fuck. Like, I'm going to sue him for the rights for it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, he's like, I want to be a part of
turn
this.
Turn this into a Twister thing.
Yeah.
One of our Twister lawsuits.
John Shirley and producer Jeff Mose approach O'Barr about making this into a movie. And all three men were in agreement that this has to be a violent, rated R adaptation. Shirley and Mose write the script together, and with each draft being sent to O'Barr for notes, and then Shirley does the final draft alone. So the three men, they meet with New Line Cinema. They say that there's no such thing as an R-rated comic book movie, so it needed to be PG-13.
Oh.
And additionally, they would purchase all rights to The Crow, even the comic, meaning O'Barr would never receive money from the property ever again.
Whoa.
What? How is that fair?
Oh
Man,
my God.
Cutthroat.
Yeah.
And so O'Barr was like, and he fucks off. Like, O'Barr rejects the offer entirely.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm not doing that. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you ever do that? It's so stupid.
That's a that's a bad deal.
He's like, the Crow would never take that kind of a deal. And he like jumps off a rooftop.
he is playing guitar on a roof, angry roof guitar.
All right. So another meeting with a studio, one executive attempts to spin the idea. And he's like, what if we make it a musical and we get Michael Jackson to star?
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
That's an idea.
I can't imagine being in that room, being James O'Barr and being like, I wrote this about the death of my fiance, you piece of shit. Like, why would I ever do that?
Yeah.
And you want people to be dancing up on stage, dancing around in black leather tights and singing about how it can't rain all the time. Like, no.
Yeah, that's called singing in the rain, okay?
Yeah.
So at this point, the script starts building buzz, and they find a producer who will fund it. They bring in horror screenwriter David J. Show, and he punches up the dialogue and adds a character that was in the comic, the Skull Cowboy. He is kind of like a guide to the world of the dead. And so that's who the Crow meets, and he kind of basically just gives him the rules of what's there.
That would have been really helpful as just a viewer of this movie. I would have loved some rules. Yeah.
Yeah. Any rules.
For sure.
As Lisa and I are watching this, it's like, he's got crow vision. And she's like, what the hell is crow vision? I was like, well, it's like he can see what the crow sees.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? And then like a quick clip, cut away from the crow's eyes to his eyes with like the black and white swampy, he's like that. That's crow vision. She's like, that's weird.
He's got a crow's eye
She's
view.
Like, why is that never explained?
Yeah.
Never explained.
It was at like the end of the movie. We were like, oh, he can see what the crow is seeing? Like that. It was like almost the end of the movie where we finally like made those two things click.
You want to hear another semi-embarrassing admittance of how much I really loved this movie? For a theater class, we were supposed to do monologues.
Oh God, no.
And so
Clint.
I took the monologue that Top Dollar did where he's talking about Devil's Night. And I did that monologue for a theater class.
And then you got called to the principal's office and they were like, we are concerned about your son, Mrs. Clint's mom.
Yeah.
We feel like he needs some therapy.
Yeah. Yep.
Incredible.
Also,
yeah.
What a minute and a half monologue? Like, that's a pretty short. I don't remember it being that long.
Yeah. No, a 90-second monologue for theater class. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that somebody probably went before Clint that was like, to be or not to be. That is the question. And then Clint's like, this is Top Dollar from The Crow.
Yeah.
He's wearing a wig.
Super long wig. Chewing on an eyeball or something.
Okay, so they line up music video director Alex Proyas, and this is his like second film. His first film is an Australian indie, like super low budget. So this is like basically his first big movie. And then this was happening all the time. Then MTV was huge. I mean, speaking of Alien 3 had David Fincher, who had never done a movie before. But he did all like videos for Madonna and stuff like that. Then Brandon Lee was the only actor offered the role of Eric Draven, and he signed on for 3 movies. Christian Slater wanted the role, but he asked for too much money. Sorry, Nicole.
Of course.
Wow.
Of course he wanted the role. This is such a Slater role. I could see it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Brandon Lee lost 20 pounds to play Draven. He weighed 138 pounds at the time of filming, which is crazy small.
That is tiny.
Yeah, that's so tiny.
Yeah, but he looked good.
Well, based off of all the behind the scenes footage, all you need to do, Clint, is just smoke constantly.
Just
okay.
Chain smoke.
Also have a martial artist father like that probably helps.
Yeah, that probably helps too.
Obviously, in the shadow of his father, Bruce Lee, Brandon was trying to make a name for himself in the years prior, mostly in B movies. So this was his big Hollywood break. Okay, so from multiple people's point of view, this is one of those rare movies where like the whole crew, who are mostly all under their 30s, in each department, they're like creatively charged, all working together in unison to like make something special. And if you look at the list of the people that are in this movie, they go on to be like really big people. It's like the cinematographer is like Ridley Scott's main cinematographer, stuff like that.
Wow.
He gave us Crow Vision.
Yes, he gave us Crow Vision. Yeah. But obviously, this doesn't mean things went well. February 1st, 1993, first day of shooting, an electrician backs up a cherry picker into a power line and is electrocuted and set on fire. He survives, but loses his ears.
No.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
Yeah, right? So, bad omen, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah. First day of shooting.
First day.
Also, though, I love that you're like, it's just like a young crew. It's like a bunch of 20-somethings like making a movie. It's like, well, yeah, no wonder it was a shit show. Like a bunch of 20-somethings, no one has their shit together at that age. Like everyone's just like, I got a bunch of big ideas, health and safety practices. Pff, I don't care. Like,
does anybody know how to drive the cherry picker?
I could probably do it. Does anybody have a commercial vehicle license? No? Okay.
Yeah.
Who's got the most experience?
Okay. So the movie was almost entirely shot at night, which means they start around like 4 p.m. and end around 7 a.m. And it's super cold. And they didn't have budget for heaters. So it's just like really just everybody is just like tired and cold all the time. During the scene of Draven crawling out of his grave, it was so cold they put alcohol in the rain to keep it from freezing.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
That sounds like awesome rain.
And so
in your eyeballs?
Yeah, I was like, Brandon Lee's like trying to just like, hold on, guys, I can't. It's like alcohol water running down your face, like stinging your eyes.
There's probably because it's probably like, like when we think of like rubbing alcohol. I'm not there that pumping out vodka through there.
Again, like 20-somethings, maybe it was vodka water. You don't know.
151. 151.
151.
Bacardi.
Oh my Lord.
Wait, where did they shoot that was so cold?
This was in North Carolina.
Okay.
We'll get to something about that in a minute. Ray, you're going to be our Ernie Hudson because you're the Winston of our podcast.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Amazing.
You're sleep deprived. That's a challenge. I think a lot of the stories of the onset weirdness stemmed from that. There was a weird energy.
Yeah. Like being sleep deprived, that probably doesn't help making a movie.
No.
Yeah, like you're throwing off all of your like what is it, circadian rhythms. You're filming it at night. Like you're supposed to sleep during the day. Like like it's gonna mess you up.
Okay, so because of this night shoots and that it was so cold, this inadvertently made it so studio executives weren't willing to be on set during those times, and the crew was mostly left alone.
That's the trick. That's what you got to do. It's like, hey, listen, execs, we're shooting at night. I don't know if you want to come out
outside.
Here. It's cold. It's going to be raining alcohol. Like, you don't want to be out here.
Wait, raining alcohol?
Just people holding up cups.
Yeah.
Okay, on March 13th, the set was hit by 1993's Storm of the Century. This is what it was called at the time. It was basically an enormous cold hurricane that made it snow in Florida.
What?
It was like, that's how bad it was getting, and it destroyed their outside sets.
Yeah.
And so after this a couple of accidents, the guy with the electrician, and then leading up to this destroyed set, Entertainment Weekly runs an article about the cursed set of The Crow, and gets a quote from a random crew member saying that, yes, there have been setbacks, but it's not like anyone has died.
No. Don't run that piece before the movie's done being shot.
Come on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not like the movie's been canceled. It's not like they pulled the plug on the movie. Like they just don't. That does not age well.
Or bode well.
So, 2 days before the infamous accident that we're going to talk about, Ernie Hudson had to leave because his brother-in-law died. Okay, and this kind of fits into like when we were talking about the curse of like The Exorcist, and von Sydow was talking about like when you're naturally spending months of a time together, like lots of things are going to happen.
Sure.
And when you boil it down to those moments, of course it sounds like it's inevitably bad, but it's just coincidental, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so by all accounts, Brandon Lee was extremely gung-ho about this film because this was his big break, right? And he was there every day helping in any way he could, whether he was required to be there or not.
I love that.
And he loved his character and would tell his family how much he loved going to set each day. That's important. Clint, this is you're going to be Michael Massey. He played Fun Boy. He was the gangster with long blonde hair, clean shaven, long blonde hair guy.
The one doing heroin, or morphine, or whatever it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Drug,
oh yeah, it was
drug.
morphine. They said morphine at some point.
Yeah. Yep. Some kind of drugs.
Details.
So this is him about Brandon Lee on set.
The Crow became Brandon's movie as we were making it. He took control very early and something switched. He took it on, more so than Alex, the director. And I don't mean that as a discredit to Alex because he held the grand vision of what it would look like. But in a few days in, we were all rallying around Brandon. People were doing it for him.
Aw.
Ray, this is Ernie Hudson following up about that.
Brandon was the heart of all this. I know a lot of nice things are always said about people when they pass on and make their transition, but Brandon really was special.
Okay, so as we go into this, Ray kind of knows that something happened. Sequoia, do you know what happened? Have you heard this story at all? Okay.
Yeah, I know what happened.
Okay, so
when we were watching this, I made a comment about how I was like, "Oh, Brandon Lee's acting in this is kind of like a lot of it's like really cheesy," and I made a comment about that. And then like somewhere in the back of my brain, I was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna feel bad about this later because I feel like something terrible happened, but I don't remember what or why." And then I like looked at Ian and I was like, "Am I gonna feel bad about this later?" And he just kind of made like a face, like, "Yeah, probably." And I'm like, "Okay, I take it back." But also just hearing though about like everyone saying he was the heart of this movie, I'm like, yeah, I think you could feel that in like the energy that he was giving this character. Like it was just like a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. A lot is a great word
A
for
lot.
it.
Truth.
So on March 31st, 3 days before the end of production, while filming the scene of Eric's murder, Brandon Lee enters the apartment. Michael Massey, fun boy, then shoots him. Lee goes down per the script, but he doesn't get up. There are some conflicting stories of what happened next. One person said that they rolled him over and he was bleeding profusely. Another account says that he was unconscious and not bleeding. They didn't really know what was going on. But he had been shot. So this is like the infamous story that everybody heard at the time. And like when this movie was coming out, we heard about this all over. It was all over the place. To explain what happened, I have to do one of my worst topics I hate more than anything is guns. But we need to talk about guns and bullets, and I got to get a little splainy on this to kind of explain what happened.
Right.
Okay. So, bullets. There are live rounds, dummy rounds, and blank rounds. So a live round is a bullet. It's exactly what you're thinking. It's designed to kill. That is what everything you think it is. It has 4 parts. So the casing, the projectile, which is the actual bullet, and then the gunpowder accelerant is inside the casing with a primer. So the gun triggers the primer, which ignites the gunpowder or the accelerant, and it shoots off the bullet out of the casing. Goes through the barrel of the gun into whatever you're shooting at. A dummy round has the casing and the projectile, but it's inert. They take out the gunpowder, they pull the bullet out, and they dump all the gunpowder out and take the primer out. But when you put it together, it just looks like a bullet. So when you're in a movie, when you see people handling bullets, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a dummy round. It doesn't do anything. It's just pieces of metal. But it looks like a real bullet because you can't really tell. And that's what they use on set. Then there are blank rounds. Now, blank rounds have the projectile, the bullet removed, but it still has all the powder and the primer. So when you fire it, it still makes the burst of energy. It makes the sound. And that's what when you see in movies when they're firing guns up until recently, when you're firing guns, it looks like a gun is actually doing something, but it's not really. There's nothing. There's no projectile coming out of the gun. Now, blank rounds can still be dangerous within close range because it's still throwing out a shit ton of energy. But by and large, they are safer.
This is actually insanely helpful. I did not know any of that information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, well, and I don't know if you're going to get into this, but I was talking to somebody recently about what happened on the set of that Alec Baldwin movie where the cinematographer got shot. Someone basically was like, how is that even possible? And I was like, I honestly don't know.
Right.
Okay, so on the Rust, I'll just talk about it real quickly. So this story, the Crow story, like after the Rust shooting, the movie with Alec Baldwin, like the story about Crow really came back into play, and people were just talking about like, I thought we learned our lesson here. Yeah. The Rust shooting is very different. Not very, but the point is what they think happened in general. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but is that they had all these dummy rounds sitting in a box, and one night they were like, "Hey, let's go and shoot some real guns. Take the guns because these guns are real, unless the bullets aren't, right?" And on the Rush shooting, they went and like had a night of drinking and shooting guns in the desert.
Oh, just for like funsies?
Yes. Somehow those live rounds ended up in the box with the dummy rounds. And so one of those bullets went into Alec Baldwin's gun. So that was a real bullet. So
just like a very unfortunate accident, but also like not following any kind of like safety protocols that were hopefully in place.
So This is where let's go into what happened on the Crow, because this is what you're talking about is the safety the safety measures.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone decided on the Crow that instead of purchasing dummy rounds, they would make their own. They already have a bunch of bullets. Let's just make our own. So what do? You take the bullet out, empty the casing, but you're supposed to take out the primer as well. They didn't do this. The person who made these dummy rounds didn't do that portion of it. So 2 weeks prior to this shooting, this is again, it's a very real revolver. It's a gun. Is used for a scene of showing them being loaded. So it needed dummy rounds, but they were using these inappropriate dummy rounds. And an actor, I'm not sure who, picked up the gun and fired it for no reasons. Maybe just to see like, hey, look how it works, whatever. Because the dummy round still has the primer, it has enough pressure to propel the bullet into the barrel of the gun. So it just kind of goes like an inch. So it comes out of the casing and into the barrel. And that's where it stayed. So, so it's stuck inside there. Prop assistant takes the gun, removes all the dummy rounds, but didn't know to check the barrel or clean it. Gun is set aside for 2 weeks until it was needed again for the scene on March 31st. That day, the set's firearm expert went home early, leaving his assistant alone. They pick up the gun. They load the blank rounds into the gun, which already has that bullet stuck in the barrel. Now, blank rounds are only 3 parts and without the 4th part. But now we have all four parts of a bullet.
Oh man. My God.
So the firearm expert would have known to clear the gun, to check it. And also important, tell the director not to have Michael Massey aim directly at Lee. Instead, cheat the angle a little bit.
Yeah.
Just in case. That doesn't happen. Michael Massey is handed the gun. Lee enters. Massey fires. The lodged bullet now has enough force to propel the blank to shoot the bullet that's sitting in there, giving it enough pressure. Now, it's not the same pressure as an actual bullet, but it's enough to kill. And it shoots out the bullet that was stuck in there. The bullet enters Lee's abdomen, severing his spine.
Oh, my God.
He dies 12 hours later. He was 28.
That's so tragic.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm just thinking of like all of there are so many points at like fail points there. That's just like, well, this person didn't do this and this person didn't do that and this didn't happen. Because I feel like there's 90 points in a movie where like that could have been figured out and solved and stopped. Like to your point, right? It's just like, they had the right bullets. This person had to check it. Like, don't shoot directly at an actor, cheat the angle. Like there's so many like things that are put in place for safety. But like sometimes when you're working on smaller movies like this, where it's like, again, a bunch of 20-year-olds and someone's just like, I know how I'll save money. I'm going to make my own bullets. You know, it's like, there's so many places where like somebody could have been like, oh, whew, good thing we caught that. And then they didn't. And it that's so tragic.
There's something that's like so romantic about the idea of like this young, scrappy, ragtag bunch of like people who are new on the scene making this movie and putting all their hearts and their passion into it and something. But like if you're missing these people who seem kind of ancillary in the moment, like, oh, we don't need a guy to check this, because we don't have the budget to have this person on staff or whatever, we'll just check it. Once those things start going, then you have these just terrible, tragic accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the fact that the weapons supervisor guy was just like, I don't know, I'll just go home a little early today. Like how's he supposed to know? Although I would argue that if you were doing a scene later with weapons, like you should not go home early if you're the guy who's in charge of the weapons. But that's just me.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's obviously going to be, there's obviously repercussions. Was there any legal things that happened there? Like, so when we hear about Rust,
we'll get into that.
That's I'm curious because I never heard anything after the fact that happened, and just like, oh yeah, Brandon Lee was tragically killed, because of a faulty gun or whatever. But I never heard anything else after that.
Ray, this is Ernie Hudson about the accident.
It was so unreal to me. I mean, how can that happen? When you do everything right, that's not supposed to happen to you. It's supposed to happen to the idiot who is out of control. Here was just an amazing man, and he had so much to give to the world. Aw.
So Brandon Lee was buried on April 3rd in Seattle next to his father. His tombstone includes an inscription that was used on his wedding invitations. Now, this is a quote that if you watch behind the scenes with Brandon Lee on the set of The Crow, again, super passionate about making this movie. He quotes this in the behind the scenes footage, so it makes this all the more eerie. This is from Paul Bowles' book, The Sheltering Sky.
Because we do not know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well. And yet everything happens only a certain number of times, and a very small number, really. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood, an afternoon that is so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it? Perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20, and yet it all seems limitless.
Clint, this is Brandon Lee after saying that exact quote. This is on March 19th. This is 2 weeks before the shooting.
I know that it's kind of a roundabout way of talking about it, but you tend to take a great deal for granted because you feel like you're going to live forever. It's only if you lose a friend or maybe have a near-death experience that many events and people in your life suddenly attain real significance.
So this is what I'm talking about, the just crazy, eerie coincidences and similarities that are going on about this. And we're going to get into even some more crazy stuff. But like that he's sitting there and he watched these behind the scenes and it's creepy. It's eerie. It's right. Heartbreaking to watch because he'll be sitting there and saying this stuff and because he's just like, yeah, my fucking movie. This is going to be great. Like, yeah. And like the story about someone coming back from the grave and avenging a wrongful death. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. It feels so poignant in hindsight, but it's weird looking back at it now because how could they have known that tragedy was going to happen?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. That's wild.
When you watch this movie with that knowledge and you watch all these scenes take place of him getting shot and you're just like, oh my God. We'll get into it, the stuff at the end, but like how much it just shapes this movie.
Yeah.
So the very cruel irony of Brandon's real death was his father, who was making a movie called Game of Death. 2 months into making this film, they halted it so he could go and make Enter the Dragon. After finishing that movie, while Lee was working on the ADR for Enter the Dragon, he died from a cerebral edema. There's some questions about whether actually what happened there. They think maybe he had an allergic reaction, but his brain started swelling. He had seizures and he just died. He was 32. This was 1973 when Brandon was only 8.
Oh.
Quite notoriously, Lee never finished Game of Death. And then they kind of did some reshoots and kind of rejiggered that movie to work. In the film, Bruce Lee plays an actor in too deep with a crime syndicate, and an assassin attempts to kill him on set by switching out a blank with a real bullet.
What are you even talking about? That is
so
weird. That's crazy.
Wow.
This just feels like proof that we're living in a simulation and that someone was just like, you know what would be like really poetic if this weird series of coincidences happened.
Because it seems like impossible. It seems impossible that all of these things are true.
Less than 2 months after Brandon's death came the release of Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, the biographical drama about Bruce Lee.
I love that movie too.
It's a pretty decent movie. Bruce Lee's played by Jason Scott Lee. No relation, In the film, it discusses his family being cursed by a demon. And this is something that was kind of from their life. In the climax of the film, Bruce dreams about literally fighting that demon from getting to Brandon.
What?
Yeah, I remember that.
Director Rob Cohen asked Linda Lee Caldwell, Bruce Lee's wife, if they should delay the film or reshoot some of it, especially that scene.
Right.
And she just asked them just to dedicate the movie to Brandon.
Wait. Okay, sorry. So when was Enter the Dragon? When did they make it?
They made it about the same before The Crow came out. So the movie came out less than 2 months from Brandon's death.
Okay.
So again, just a weird coincidence.
Dude,
yeah.
That's wild.
Okay. So, but going back to The Crow, films are insured for situations like this, meaning if the producers decide to scrap the entire film, everyone would be paid and producers wouldn't incur a loss. And it's kind of a question of whether you want to continue.
Yeah.
And director Alex Proyas decided to walk away. He was like, no, like, we're done. We're not doing this. But the actors rallied together with Lee's mother, his sister, and his fiancée, Eliza Hutton. They were to be married on April 17th.
Oh,
like
my
2
God.
weeks after the end of production.
Which is exactly what happens in the movie.
No.
Parallels to the movie, right?
That's crazy.
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
So they all went to the producers and Proyas saying for how much he poured his soul into this movie, he would have hated it for it to be all in vain, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like, from everything that's been said, I'm like, yeah, of course he would want that movie
Like, finish
to
the
get
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I was pretty much done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It wasn't until I saw the movie that I know that decision was right, that we had to finish this film. And I think it is a tribute to him. Brandon's warmth really just sort of permeates the whole film.
So production is put on hiatus instead. They took them 1 month to just grieve and then the next month to kind of figure out what to do. During that time, the North Carolina district attorney determined Lee's death was a series of negligent mistakes of ignoring basic and well-recognized safety guidelines at every step in the process.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't one person, it was just all these things. Like, and it was just the worst case scenario of having every one of those things go wrong. The production was fined $77,000 for workplace violations. That's it.
Okay.
That seems like not enough.
That's all that happened?
No.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, Lee's mother, Linda Lee Caldwell, sued the production company, Proyas, the stunt coordinator, and actor Michael Massey. They settled out of court, and per her settlement, the footage of the actual incident, which was on camera,
Jesus.
after the DA was done with it, it was destroyed.
Yes.
They just
Good.
complete so this does not exist.
Yeah.
Like there's
Good,
no
good,
footage.
good.
There's a big rumor about like at the time that the footage is in the movie. But no, not at all.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, like why would the fuck would they do that? Yeah.
No.
But so something came out of this, I guess, when she sued it, and she went on a big publicity thing about like safeties on set. And Brandon Lee was really good friends with George Clooney, and when the Rust shooting happened, Clooney was fucking furious.
Yeah.
Like he's like this.
Yeah.
We did all this shit on like because this has happened already, and we don't want this to happen again, and it fucking did. But
Yeah.
I do find it fucked up that she sued Michael Massey and the same person that was suing Alec Baldwin for murder. And it was like, how the fuck did they know? Like it just seems so silly. Like almost like they did it on purpose.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when you mentioned that she sued the production company and the stunt coordinator and the actor, it's like, well, they just hand him a thing and they're like, yep, point it here and shoot it. And he's like, okay, like he's doing his job. Like, it's not his job to like check the gun to make sure that it's all there's not real bullets in it. Like maybe you could argue that he might
if he had experience on using guns on sets to make sure that he checked it right.
Yeah. Exactly. Sure. Or like he wouldn't have pointed it directly at Brandon, like if he had some experience. But again, like there are people on sets to tell you to do those things. That's their job.
Unless they go home early.
Yeah.
Okay. So continuing on with the disaster that is the fallout. Originally intended for an August 1993 release date, they obviously weren't going to make it. Per their contract with Paramount, if the film fell behind schedule, they weren't obligated to distribute it, meaning send it out to theaters. They show Paramount a rough cut of the movie, and they say, actually, this is actually pretty good. And then they stopped answering their phone calls. 5 days later, they pull out of the deal. They don't want the PR disasters. They don't want to deal with it. So they're just like, nope, wash their hands clean.
Right.
So one of the scarier things that probably popped up during this movie was the opening logo. Anybody remember? Miramax.
Miramax, yeah. I was like, who the Weinstein? Yeah,
those guys, those creeps.
So,
those guys.
Again, a coincidence that this was Miramax. I had no idea because Brothers Grimm was also Miramax. Okay, but Miramax picks up the film and they provide an additional $8 million to complete it. So they're putting a lot of money to finish it. And Proyas, his caveat to them returning is that they weren't allowed to interfere at all, or let alone be on set. They were like, "You're gonna let me finish this the way we intended, and don't fuck with this," because the Weinsteins were very notorious for this.
Right. It just seems to me like, okay, you get like one studio drops this movie because hypothetically they don't want to deal with the public relations around finishing and releasing this movie where somebody died. And it just seems very fitting to me that the Weinsteins would be like, oh, that's probably good. Like people will probably want to go see it because, like it checks out that like these shitty people would be like, we can probably capitalize off of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exploiting it a little bit.
And I mean, we'll talk about it in a minute, but like that was the marketing was kind of inadvertently all the press they had leading up to the movie being like, this is Brandon Lee's movie where he died. Like, it's kind of like the Dark Knight and the Fast and Furious. Like, there's definitely like a morbid curiosity to what the movie was going to be.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even Carrie Fisher in The Last Jedi. It's just like, yeah, you're kind of curious how they're going to do it. Okay, production resumed on May 26th and filmed for 8 days. Clint, you will be Edward Pressman. This is a producer on the film.
It was never technically questioned if we could complete it. It was always evident that Brandon's role was basically done. The issue was psychological.
Yeah.
Going back after that?
Yeah.
After like and the person who was giving energy to the production too.
Yeah, right. And it's not a thing of like Paul Walker and Heath Ledger, like they died somewhere else. They didn't die on set.
Yeah.
Like that's a totally different thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the reimagined film, the Skull Cowboy character, that one we talked about that explains it.
Oh, right.
He was removed. They only shot one day with him, and they decided not to use him, and instead used some of his dialogue, and replaced it with Sarah's bookend narrations. So her little quotes at the beginning and the end were kind of something basic that the cowboy was saying.
Oh, gotcha.
They also had to forego scenes of Draven and his fiance that set up their relationship. So those were like some of the last things that they were planning on filming was to set up their relationship better. Which would have helped.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that why like all of the like flashback scenes are very fast and montagey and like not like
Yes.
more, they feel a lot more
Because-
like vignettes, because they're like, oh, here's a close-up of like a hand and a this and a that. Like it doesn't very clearly ever show his face.
Yeah, and
That makes
any of
sense.
those most of those are like half finished, and so they just made those into montages.
Yeah, they're like
Right.
super cutty, which like fits
Yeah.
the aesthetic of the movie, where it's just
Yeah.
The whole thing is super cutty. Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't feel out of place.
Yeah.
They wrote more scenes for Hudson's cop character and Sarah. So those scenes between them, there's like 3 or 4 of them.
That's like my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, they kind of are. They are the
Yeah.
best parts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And overall, they decided to lighten the tone of the film a little bit, because it was kind of more intense and darker, and because of the situation, they were kind of like, let's smooth it over a little bit, so it isn't as violent.
It was more violent than it turned out.
It was pretty dark
Well,
and violent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like there's like when he crawls out of the grave, like there's a whole part of him like checking all his bullet wounds, and they were like, that's fucking weird, like let's not have that in the movie.
You
Like,
definitely cannot be doing that.
so one of the few scenes still remaining to film was his death, because that's when it happened.
Right.
So they had to go back to refilm this. Sequoia, you be our James O'Barr, the creator.
Okay, great. Ooh, the creator. Okay.
Of The Crow. This is him about going back to work and filming that particular scene.
It took a lot of courage to come back and reshoot the scene that Brandon was killed in. I can't even imagine the toll that would take on you.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a different scene in the movie. Like for the longest time, like I talk about how much I really love this movie and how I knew about what happened, to a certain extent. I thought it was a completely different scene. So this is, like to have to reshoot the scene where his character dies, where the actor actually died.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I watched this last night I had a couple friends over to watch it, and we had to look it up after because we were like,
too curious.
I gotta know what scene it was, because and the guy, Fun Boy, the guy who actually shot the gun had to come back and film this scene. I don't know that I would be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Staying on that scene, it is much more kind of confusing in the movie. It's because it is edited really quickly, and they kind of deliberately just push past that and then just go straight to him being kicked out of the window. And that was a very deliberate decision, just to be kind of like, let's just say the window is what killed him.
Yeah, the fall. Well, I was gonna say that whole scene, like, because they kind of replay the scene a couple of times because it happens, and then he comes back and he's like remembering pieces of it, right? That would kind of kicks off his transformation into the Crow. So like they play some of those bits a couple times in the movie, but it's always very like, I will say that's probably like the messiest part of the movie from an editing perspective, because you're just like, what in God's name just happened? Like it just what and it's like bits and pieces.
Very hard to parse.
Yeah, but I
You're like,
totally
it's just
understand.
like, let's move past it. Let's move past it, and you're like, okay, but I kind of need a little context,
right?
Which is how I would argue about the entire movie, but.
Yeah.
Right. Fair.
Well, and that's like, that whole scene is hard anyway, because like there's it's from the context of the film, like a brutal sexual assault that happens to his fiance in the film too. And so it just felt a little bit like they were just like, anyway, like that happened. So moving on.
Like, it's all bad. It's all now. Yeah.
It's all bad.
1 year later.
Oh, it's all bad. Don't worry about it.
So anything requiring Draven, the idea was originally to have stuntmen to wear a rubber mask of Lee. They make this and they put it on Lee's stunt double, Jeff Cadenti. And there's a picture of this, and it is fucking freaky. Now, obviously,
idea.
Well, so they put it on him, and obviously it's not going to really work that well when he's like he's supposed to emote or whatever, right? Because it's just his white makeup and whatnot. But it was so creepy, and it freaked everyone out that they just dropped the idea. They're like, nope, no, we're not doing that. Instead, they choose to shoot everything from a distance so no one could tell.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of shots in the movie where they're just like he's just standing far away enough that you would never have you would have never picked it up anyway.
It's kind of lucky for them that the character already was wearing like a bunch of makeup.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And it's just straight white, so it can be kind of a blank canvas in a way, right?
Yeah.
It's also lucky that like he's a character who gets like filmed in the shadows a lot. Like there's a lot of shots of him where he's just like fully like obscured by shadow and like delivering his lines.
It made things easy.
Yeah.
Ish.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Ian knows this, but I always thought that the scenes that they had to shoot or reshoot were him coming back from the dead, from the grave, and making his way back to their apartment. Like all those where he's stumbling around.
We'll get to that. Okay, so anything up close, Cadenti was used because he looked similar to Lee. For anything more complicated, they wanted a stuntman who knew Lee personally and was good at mimicking actors. This is the first credited role of Chad Stahelski.
John Wick!
Oh,
John Wick.
No way!
Wow.
So you're just continuing this eerie coincidence bullshit.
Clint, your John Wick thing is appropriate even in more ways than you knew.
Yeah. Wow.
Holy shit.
Damn.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh,
I got Crow vision.
Crow vision. Caca!
So yeah, he is used in a lot of the shots, and this was his first credited role.
Wow.
There are 52 shots in 7 different scenes digitally compositing Lee's face onto the stunt doubles. I did not really catch any. And I had to look this up, and the only scenes that I like they show that they did behind the scenes is there's a shot of him kind of like shivering and cold as he walks into a building.
Yes.
And that was unused footage that they repurposed of him just in an alleyway, and they made it look like he was going into his apartment. And then the shot the only other shot that is pretty that they show that they do is when he's standing in the apartment with the crow on his shoulder, and then the camera pulls back, and it, like the lightning just keeps like appearing, and you just see his face for a second, like that shot. So that's not actually Lee.
Okay.
I am shocked that you just said, okay, so there were 3 days left of shooting when he died. But you just said that there were 52 shots in this movie that they had to digitally composite. Like, that's so many shots. Like, they were going to shoot 52 shots in 3 days? Like, what? That's a lot.
To be fair, you watch the movie, how fucking insanely cut it is, where it's just like angles. It kind of makes sense. I don't know why they made it that difficult.
Well, I guess it makes sense that the director was, like you said, he was a music video director, right? And this has a lot, like, this is very music video vibes.
Oh, absolutely.
Where it's a lot of, like, editing and close-up angles and lots of rapid cuts to different things. So, anyway.
Okay, now the film is completed, but they don't have a distributor because Paramount bailed. The movie sat on a shelf for nearly a year before Miramax decided they would just take on the distribution themselves. The movie was released 3 months after that point. Okay, leading up to the film, all the press wanted to talk about was the accident, and it kind of became the driving marketing tool for the film that none of the filmmakers wanted.
Yeah.
Proyas refused to do any interviews, and to this day doesn't really talk about it. Rochelle Davis, who plays Sarah, said she was bullied at school for what happened.
Oh my god!
What the hell?
What the fuck is wrong with children?
Michael Massey said he does not talk about this much. There is one interview that I found, and he was kind of like, why would I want to talk about this? Like, why would I want to talk about one of the worst moments of my life?
That's fair.
Yeah. He said that he just spent a lot of time with Vietnam vets to kind of help with PTSD. I mean, can you imagine just being like, yeah, I'm making a movie, and then you fucking killed someone?
Yeah,
Like,
I can't.
Right.
The psychology would just ruin you.
Well, and for arguably like the stupidest reason, like a movie. Like, I know that like people care a lot about movies, and like, you know, people like movies, and like they're, you know, it's important, and people like the entertainment, and there's a need for escapism and stuff. But it's just like, this movie didn't need to be made.
Yeah. Michael Massey died in 2016, and despite 79 acting credits to his name, headlines for his death were "The Man Who Shot Brandon Lee."
Jeez.
God.
I know, right?
That's a shitty legacy.
This world sucks, man.
Yeah.
The Crow released Friday the 13th, May 1994.
Fuck that.
No one learned a lesson.
Yeah.
No, I think that's Miramax. That I think that was their like they were like, I'm gonna put it there.
Some shit. And fuck that, I say.
Yeah, I agree. The film is dedicated to Brandon and Eliza, his fiance. Rotten Tomatoes, 87% with critics, 90% with audiences. That's crazy high in my estimation.
That's super high.
I think a lot of that has probably got to come from the story of what happened.
Yeah, there's kind of like maybe there's probably a little bit of a benefit of the doubt kind of thing.
I feel like but I also feel like it's probably like the Clints of the world who are just like, I loved this movie in high school, and I'm like, by damn, I'm gonna give it a fresh on Rotten Tomatoes because this was my childhood.
Well, okay, so this was absolutely a cult classic. So on a budget of $23 million, the film grossed $52 million worldwide. Most 50 of that was just in the US. It didn't really go beyond there. But upon release on VHS, it grew to about 90 million via purchases rentals. Yeah. So that's cult status. Like, and as Clint can attest, like there are so many people that like this was their identity. Like this was their thing. Like this was just the gothiest thing that could possibly exist because not only is the movie about this and this and that, but then it also has the tragedy to kind of back it all up. Like it's the gothiest movie ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
wait, hold on. Before we move away from like goth aesthetic, there was like a scene where Brandon Lee takes off his like duster or whatever the hell like coat he was wearing, and he's wearing like whatever his shirt was. It was like partially duct tape, and it like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, I've got like part of my shirt is duct tape, and I was like, holy shit! Like the stuff that we used to duct tape in high school,
the stuff we made out of duct tape,
like
or electric tape.
Yeah. Like
it was something on his hand.
Yeah, no, it was like he had like electrical tape like gloves, but then also like on his abdomen, like his shirt was like partially duct or electrical tape. And I was like, we used to duct tape so much shit.
Yeah, as Eric Draven got more and more like injured or shot at, right? Like he added more stuff. I mean, he didn't need it, right? Because it kept healing, but because at the beginning he's just wearing the black t-shirt, but then as the movie got on, his whole like torso.
Is that why?
Tape, his gloves, all
yeah.
Oh, I did not realize that.
I didn't realize
that. Oh my God,
that.
I did not put that together. I just thought it was like a choice.
You gotta pay closer attention to the Crow.
Yeah, as the movie goes on, yeah.
They didn't even get the Crow vision.
I did not get that. That's why. Well, now I feel bad for making fun of it because he was just being practical. He's just like, I can't. I don't have time to go buy a new black T-shirt. I got to just tape this shit up.
I'm just gonna tape it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it was ripped, and I don't know if you know, but it's always raining in whatever universe they're in. It is constantly raining, so he did need to fix that problem.
Yep.
Even though he kept saying it can't rain all the time, it was always raining.
It was. It will, in fact.
Okay, Ray.
Yes.
Did you notice anything about the actual crow?
It was a raven.
It's a raven. It's not a crow.
Listen,
it's not a crow.
I noticed immediately. I'm an amateur bird watcher, and now is my hobby because I'm 105 years old, and that's all I do is I like watch the birds in my backyard. And I knew immediately that was a raven and not a crow.
I could just imagine like Rennie is like at the table while looking out the window. Ian is upstairs like editing a new video. She's just like calling from downstairs. Ian, come and look at this bird.
That happens a lot.
It's drinking water from the fountain.
Clint, how do you know this? Did you put a camera in my house? How do you know what happens? How do you know what happens?
I put red dye in the bird feeder, and now the hummingbirds are going bananas.
I did. Oh my God! How do you?
Oh my God,
Clint.
You told me that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was like, how the fuck do you know this?
You were so excited when you told me too. It was like I was talking to all these people. I was online. I was on Reddit, talking to other bird watchers, and they said go and put red dye in there, and then the birds will love it.
I would like to clarify in case someone tries to cancel me for this. I did not put red dye in there because that is toxic to hummingbirds. It is hibiscus, which is a naturally occurring red dye.
There you go.
I'm glad you cleared that up. I'm glad you cleared that up because I was about to cancel you. No, I didn't know that. I didn't notice that it was a raven and not a crow. I just was surrounded by people who are chronically online, and they were Googling the whole time that we were watching the movie. So I was sitting there, and I was like, they're like, those aren't even crows. Those are ravens. And I was wondering if Ian would bring it up at some point.
That's funny.
I thought you were gonna say you were surrounded by bird nerds, aka my people.
Oh yeah, no, you're the only bird nerd I know. You're my number one bird nerd.
Yes.
That's not a fucking crow. That's a raven.
I do understand though why aesthetically they went for a raven over a crow, because ravens have that much longer beak and they're a lot more and they're bigger.
That wasn't the reason. The reason was that crows are kind of a pain in the ass to train, and ravens are
dicks.
Like ravens are more like, I'll do shit. I'll land on your shoulder. Weird. And crows are much more finicky, and like they tend to be kind of like sweet, I give you a snack now. I'll stab you in the eye.
Yeah. You can't tell a crow what to do, as we have established.
You can't use real crows on films. You gotta use ravens.
Yeah.
But also aesthetically, ravens are more interesting, I think, than crows.
Yeah, they're big. Like they probably like pop more because they're bigger and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it so undercuts everything that scene where he starts quoting Edgar Allan Poe. And it's like, you're the crow, not the fucking raven. What the fuck are we doing here?
It was so confusing.
Look, they're all birds from the Corvus family. It's fine.
Okay, then the problem is solved for me, honestly. That's fully just solves the problem. There are so many other problems to focus on that is a good enough answer to that one for me.
Okay. Lastly, in 2008, the long road of development hell to remake the original begins with director Stephen Norrington. Anybody?
That name sounds familiar. Like I should know it, but I don't.
Blade and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh my God, of course.
Right.
Right. He wanted to make a more gritty documentary style version. Again, musician Nick Cave is brought on to write the film. They start talks with Mark Wahlberg to star.
Oh no, not Marky Mark.
I know. So they all leave. Then comes Juan Carlos Franzandillo. He did 28 Days Later. Oh. He doesn't last long because he gets busy on the Highlander remake, which we totally have now, right? There's some weird lawsuit issues with the Weinsteins that delay the project for a while. Then comes F. Javier Gutierrez, the director of Before the Fall. And these are the various stars that were attached at one point. We're about to sign and we're going to star. Channing Tatum, Ryan Gosling, James McAvoy, Tom Hiddleston, Alexander Skarsgård, Luke Evans, and Norman Reedus.
These were all potential crows? Crow boys?
Yes. They were almost
The-
all signed.
The only appropriate
Cowboys.
crow actor in that list is Tom Hiddleston. All of the other of them are like what?
I don't know. I think Norman Reedus
I was
is
going to
kind
say
of a
Norman
fun,
Reedus.
Yeah.
fun pick. Yeah.
Mm.
But the
And
rest of them,
I kind of like Luke
don't know.
Evans, but Ryan Gosling's kind of weird, and James
Yeah.
McAvee is.
No.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No.
And Channing Tatum, that's terrible.
Yeah.
This is just a decidedly
But
bad
like how
choice, yeah.
isn't okay, and sorry, I didn't watch The Walking Dead, but like how old is Norman Reedus? Like
Probably in his 40s.
isn't he slightly too old
Older.
to be a crow?
You're never too
Older.
old to be the crow.
I mean,
Old
yeah.
Crow.
You're never told to be the crow.
Okay, in 2013, James O'Barr signs on to be a creative consultant. And then Gutierrez leaves and makes Rings, which was a sequel to The Ring that I did not know
Right.
existed.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
So in comes director Corin Hardy. These are the stars again. Sam Witwer, Jack Houston, Nicholas Hoult, Jack O'Connell, and the closest to not star, this was the one that was this close to actually doing it, Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
No.
No, absolutely
No.
not. Absolutely not. In
Not a-
what world?
Yeah.
I know I was just saying anyone can be the crow like literally 35 seconds ago, but I take it all back. Absolutely not. No.
I didn't even know most of the people on that list, but I agree with you, Sequoia. Like, yeah. No Momoa. No Cromoa.
Nicholas Hoult, though.
I'm taking Nicholas Hoult.
Everything stalls in 2018. Hardy leaves to make The Nun. And
Oh my
then
God.
the project is revived in 2020 with director Rupert Sanders. He did Snow White and the Huntsman and the very ill-advised Ghost in the Shell movie. Filming began in 2022 with Bill Skarsgård starring as the
Right.
Crow. To calm everyone's fears, only airsoft guns were used on set,
Good.
and they just used CGI to enhance it.
Smart.
Great.
The Crow released August 23rd, 2024, 2 years after finishing production. So either that means there's something went on back there, like they just held on to it because it was probably terrible, or they were waiting for the 30th anniversary. I don't know.
Wait, what day did you say it came out?
August 23rd, this last August.
Oh, I didn't realize it came out on my birthday.
Oh!
They were waiting for Sequoia's birthday. That's
Anyone
what
can be
And
the
I
crow,
said-
Sequoia. Anyone can be the crow, including you.
I could be the crow. No, they said, here, we got this for your birthday. And I said, what?
And you didn't even bother go see it.
No, I had no. And I love Bill Skarsgård. He's a good horror boy.
He is. I was going to say, of all the Skarsgårds to play the crow, that's the only appropriate one.
Agreed.
That's the one.
Agreed.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Okay, so the Crow remake on a budget of $50 million around there, film grossed $9 million in the United
Yikes.
States
Ooh.
and $23 million worldwide. Rotten Tomatoes 23% with critics, 64% with audiences.
Audiences go off.
Very big difference there.
All right.
Anyway, I chose not to make you guys watch that movie because I knew it was going to be, I heard all the terrible things. So I spared you from watching a terrible movie. So there
Well,
you
now
go.
I want to see it, though.
I'll
Now I feel like I
probably
need to go see
probably
it.
still watch it like in like the next couple of weeks.
Report back.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to the original, James O'Barr credits Proyas and Brandon Lee for making sure the film stayed true to the comic as possible. Clint, wrapping this up, this is producer Jeff Most about the movie.
It's incredibly sad that we had such a glorious piece of work come out of such an incredibly tragic loss in Brandon.
Yeah, was The Crow worth it?
No. I mean, if you take into account the like loss of human life, like no. If you
And the
say,
guy that lost
like,
his ears.
and the guy who lost his ears and everything that happened, no. If you're saying like if you think about it from like, okay, after he died, then yes, they had to finish that movie for him because he would have wanted that movie finished. But like as like I don't think it's a secret from this episode as we have recorded thus far. I think this movie is very bad. So like there is no, for me it's like it's not a good movie and somebody died. No.
Yeah. I agree with you, and that's why I'm like, this one's kind of hard because I definitely would say no, but like I do think, yeah, they had to finish it for him. They couldn't just like not finish this movie after he put everything and his whole heart and soul into it and basically gave his life making this movie. It's like, yeah, of course, like finish the movie. But and I know that a lot of people like it, but yeah, it's not a great movie. I was telling Ian, I'm like, this movie it's weird because there's like good acting happening around it, but like overall it was kind of just like very over the top, like cheesy, very like I don't know, like very soapy, I guess. And but I liked Ernie Hudson. I thought his character was interesting. I liked the girl. But it was also like super weird. Like the plot made no sense. The whole like they were killed over like some tenants' rights issue was just like what? But then the villain was like a Joker type kind of chaos agent who was just like, but chaos though. And I don't know. Like it was just
It was simultaneously incredibly hard to parse and also very simplistic. Where you're just like from the first 5 minutes of the movie, I know exactly what's going to happen in the rest of the movie. So now I'm bored, but also I don't know what's going on. Those two things existing in the same space is just like this is no good.
Yeah. That's a very good way to explain it, because like we were talking earlier about how we wanted the rules. Like what are the rules? Like all they tell you is that crows are like the guardians that take like the souls to the afterlife. And so like
they can bring you back.
They can bring you back for if something like horribly tragic has happened. I'm like, okay, I understand that. But yeah, like his crow powers, like it never explained what anything was. So I'm going to go with no. Yes. Because no, they shouldn't have made it. Yes, they had to finish it.
Okay, let's have Clint go last because because he has the fondness for it. But I think that for me, it was very. I think so. I'm with you with Sequoia. It's just like just because he died on the set and they were so close to done. Yes, they needed to finish it. Just finish it to make it not worth dying for, quite literally.
Right.
But he would have not known how fucking insane that movie was going to be edited. And I think the two really big problems with it is the editing is just fucking music video, and it's just insane, and you have no concept of just like sense of place, and just everything is just happening, and they give a lot of shit to like action movies nowadays where they cut real quick, right? And and like this movie, it's just a dialogue scene, and it's just like
yeah.
And you're just like, what is? Oh my god! And you feel like you have ADD watching it because there's not one shot that lasts more than 2 seconds, and it's jarring. And I felt going into it, I thought that that I heard so many great things about it but I do think that's a lot of nostalgia talking. I think a lot of people, it was just that they watched this at this core moment at a time, and I don't think the movie's that good. It is very sloppy.
Movies that I'll go to bat for. Everybody's got those movies.
Yeah, for sure, right? And we'll hear from Clint here in a second. But yeah,
that felt very pointed. That felt very pointed. Like it's not just The Crow, but like a bunch of other movies that I like.
So there's like Ernie Hudson was actually really good in it. That scene where he duct tapes the guy in the car and he's about to kill him. That guy did like 3 or 4 lines where I was like, holy shit, this guy's crushing this moment right now. Like he's like knows he's gonna die. And I was like, holy shit, like there's some legitimate acting happening at this moment. But then just everything else around it was just fucking insane. And then and I'm gonna say it. I'll be the one to say it. Brandon Lee is terrible in it. He's not a good actor.
So hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say it, but he's not good in it, and everybody else around him is pulling the weight, and he is just it. He's like, yeah, I'm a character, and none of it is believable, and it's not great. Like what you were saying, Ray. Like I felt bad about talking shit because at the time you were like, I'm gonna feel bad
about this later.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was my main point. Is it's like there's really good acting, not really good, but there's good acting happening around him. Like there's other people that are like, oh, that's kind of an interesting scene. That character's kind of interesting. That's an interesting scenario. But like him, just the core kind of element of the movie is just so over the top. Yeah,
and it's so going back to the editing. Is there a moment where he was better? Are they cutting around his bad acting? Like, I don't know, because just the movie never gave moments to breathe.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Clint.
Explain yourself.
All right, bird lady.
Don't you bring my birds into this. Leave my birds out of this.
You're all 100% right. And that was not made more apparent to me than watching this with my wife. Because
you're like, oh, you're gonna love this.
She had never seen it before, and I actually, do you want to watch The Crow with me for our next episode? She's like, oh yeah, sure. I know you really love this movie. I mean, you had to have loved it if you've been The Crow 3 times in a row for Halloween. And as we're watching it, she's saying all these things that you have all echoed, and she's like, so wait, why do you like this movie? And I'm thinking to myself, why do I like this movie? And there like nostalgia, man, is strong. That can keep you loving something dumb forever.
Yeah.
And even after listening to the stories of the shit show production and the tragedy and just other third parties just talking about it, you three included, and my wife, and I'm just like, yeah, this movie is not. It's not good. It's not a good movie. But I still love it 100%. I still will watch it again. I still really like it for whatever reason. But I mean, you're right. Like Brandon's not great in it. There's good acting around it. I think I liked the idea. I don't know. For some reason, like this is also probably the reason why I like a lot of Quentin Tarantino stuff. Like there's fun characters, like with crazy, weird, stupid names. One guy's name is T-Bird. Another guy's name is Fun Boy. Yeah, Top Dollar is a fucking cool name. So I think a lot of that really kind of like maybe like I just love the quirkiness of it, the kookiness of it, and of course I like a lot of dumb shit. Like that's no secret. But I really like what Sequoia said. Was it worth it? Yes, for Brandon to finish it, for them to finish it. Is it worth it because he died? Absolutely not.
Yes.
If they never finished the movie, if Brandon were still alive, like would my life be worse off because I didn't get to be the Crow 3 years in a row? No, absolutely not. Like this is a part of very small part of my identity growing up and, living into an adulthood, that if it wasn't there, nothing would change in my life. Like I wouldn't be any better off or worse off without this movie. So no, it wasn't worth it because of Brandon's death. But the sequels are garbage.
That's
I mean,
the other thing.
like I do have that strong nostalgia for it, but you are all 100% right about everything that you said. It's not a good.
I think the nostalgia card like covers you on a lot of things. Like there's 1000% bad, like really bad movies that I loved as a kid because I'm just like, I don't know. I just like, there's something about it just clicked with my little kid brain and I just watched it over and over again. So I will accept your playing of the nostalgia card for this episode.
I think that this is probably like a really fucking sick comic book.
They should make that. They should make that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sequoia, where can people find you? You're not doing but make it scary anymore, correct?
I am sort of. I have a very special Halloween mini season that is coming out. Woo. 3 episodes. The last one Thursday of Halloween, and then the 2 Thursdays before that, there will be episodes of But Make It Scary, which is the show where I take a romantic movie and turn it into a horror film. So, the first one of that mini season, What Women Want, comes out soon as of recording this.
Oh my God.
And that movie is a nightmare.
Oh my God. That movie is already a
for
horror
there.
movie.
It is a horror movie. I didn't even know, and I was like, wow. And then you can also find me over at my other podcast, a very gay, very anti J.K. Rowling Harry Potter fan fiction podcast called Fanatical Fix and Where to Find Them. And you can find me on social media on Instagram and TikTok at Sequoia Simone.
Cool.
All right.
Well, check those out. And thank you for being a method director.
Oh, yes. Big fan of the show. Big fan of the pod.
No, thanks, Sequoia.
Well, thank you so much for joining.
Yes, and we love having you on our spooky season episodes.
I love doing it. I'll see you next year.
I will try to make sure that we actually watch a good movie that you will enjoy. I thought for sure this was a shoe-in for a good one.
I think it's so funny because you know what one of my favorite franchises of all time is?
Scream.
Alien.
Oh, fucking hell!
You totally missed the boat.
We gotta bring her back for Alien Resurrection. That's so funny.
Lol.
But it's not it's not a good movie though.
No, but I do like it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you started off by saying I didn't want to have to force you to sit through 4 Alien movies, and like meanwhile she's watching those on repeat. Like, she's seen them.
Oh my
I've
God.
seen all of those multiple times actually, but cool. That's cool.
Next year I expect to see you showing up on video to the pod like in full crow makeup. Like this is gonna
we all have to do it though.
Yeah.
This is because anyone can be the crow, as we've said.
I'll do it.
Okay, next year's group Halloween costume, crows.
Got it.
Murder of crows.
Crow. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But Ray will be the only one coming as a raven.
You guys, I thought we meant actual crows.
Okay, follow-ups. What do we got, Ray?
Okay, so regarding the Highlander on Spotify, Mikey Adoris left us a comment and said, as a Scot, I can actually confirm that a headbutt is unironically called a Glasgow kiss. So the Scottish hello joke is so on the money. I also feel a bizarre amount of pride hearing this episode and the normalizing of alcoholism, passion, and aggression in the Scottish culture. I love the show. Keep up the amazing work consistently. Love from your biggest fan from Scotland, Mikey.
That's amazing. I love how we're like totally throwing out stereotypes. It's like, oh no, thank you for
right on the money. On the money.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was thank you, Mikey. And I told him to give all the other Scottish shit show fans a Glasgow kiss / a Scottish hello at the next fan meetup.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then on the Twister episode, a lot of people have pointed out that apparently having 5 tornadoes in 24 hours isn't that rare. But being able to drive between all of them in that time, that's the thing that's a stretch. So,
But what I said was the unrealistic part is that they got that many tornadoes and were personally inside of them, like all 5 of them.
They're like, oh, let's just that one's like 20 minutes down the way. Like, let's get the car and drive there. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently all the people from Oklahoma who messaged us and were just like, 5 tornadoes in one day. That's a Thursday.
Ain't no thing.
Ain't no thing.
That's a Thursday. It's called Tornado Tuesday here.
It's called Tornado Tuesday. Yeah. So.
Okay. Do you have those trades? You have those trades on hand?
Oh, yeah, I do. I just got all the latest editions of the magazines, the papers. I just got the papers. And we have some meddling executives that we need to tell flattering lies about.
First one is Kareem. Now, Kareem legitimately told us we are not, as a meddling executive, we are not to make fun of his favorite film ever, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. We for the money, for his contributions, we are not allowed to make fun of it. Which, good thing, because I've never seen the movie, so I can't talk shit about it.
If we start to, make concessions for all of our meddling executives, like, what are we? Come on. I guess that's the whole point of being a meddling executive, is you get a medal. So
yeah.
So maybe we'll just trash the movie as it is. You know what? I hate the movie that I think it is in my head. I'm pretty sure the special effects just were terrible. I don't think they've aged well.
I mean, what is it? Is it a Japanese movie? Is it a Western? What are we talking about here?
It's
is it a sci-fi?
It's a movie.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But the reason why, what I heard about it, was that Kareem was actually one of the main, he was the best boy grip on The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. He was the best boy on that film, and which is why, and, he worked his way up from best boy on that movie to meddling executive of our podcast, which is incredible. What a trajectory, just skyrocketed his career.
and all the stories he tells about that movie are just great, and there's nothing wrong with it. The movie is fantastic. Everybody loves it. It did so well, and everybody should go stop this right now and go watch it, because it's very important.
Yes.
We think.
Our next one here is Michael S. And if you didn't know this about Michael, then you obviously are not in the know. But he has become the world's greatest knife sharpener.
Damn.
He will take any blade and he can sharpen up that sucker and to cut anything like butter. Not butter from the fridge, but like melted butter, machetes, Bowie knives, butter knives, anything that can be sharpened, he can sharpen to make it so precise in its cuts that you'll think everything is perforated.
That's incredible. I mean, and sometimes you need those sharp butter knives because, you put your butter in the fridge and it comes out and you're trying to put it on your toast and it's all hard. And you're just,
yeah.
God, it's the worst.
Yeah.
He can
his knives, like literally, it's like going through it like a laser.
Exactly.
It's just, it cuts it off immediately. You have no problems. There's no like when you're cutting tomatoes and it just like when you hit it and it like squirts everywhere. Nothing. His knives right down
this
the center.
Is his blades are the closest things we'll ever get to a real life lightsaber.
Whoa. Damn. So does the S in Michael S stand for saber or sharp? Sharp saber?
Michael Sharp Saber.
Michael Sharp Saber. And he's got one of those, he's on the Home Shopping Network, and he's got one of those like infomercial type dealies where he shows you all the stuff he can cut with his sharpened knives.
Yeah.
Like shoes, cinder blocks, hard butter from the fridge. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And he's given us a cut of that of that sharp cheddar.
Yep. That was good.
I feel like that culminated in that joke of all this bullshit, this like nonsense we talk about cash and the cheddar and the cut. We need to retire it now.
Yes. Cut the cheese.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael.
You made the cut.
So this next
Don't laugh at that.
Don't encourage him. So this next meddling executive, I don't know if we should tell flattering lies about this person. I think we should just be flattering to this person, because this is John from Paper and Light, a fellow creator.
Oh my gosh,
nice.
Who makes incredible videos for YouTube that go into the history of movie posters, which is really, really cool. I think he's a graphic designer by trade, but anyway, like he goes into like
we can make up whatever he does.
You know what? Sure, why not? He's a graphic designer.
He's the head of a graphics design company, a conglomerate.
He invented graphic design. Why not?
Oh my god!
He also makes his own paper
and his own light. It's incredible. But for real, like go check out Paper and Light on
absolutely
on YouTube. His stuff is so good, and movie posters are like one of those topics where like people don't think a lot about them, but they're super interesting, and the amount of work that goes into making them is like incredible. So, but yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for the
thank you, John.
Being one of our meddling executives.
John. All right, our next person is Jake. Now, the crazy thing about Jake is they may not exist.
Oh.
They might be a hallucination of all of ours.
Whoa.
Like,
oh, yeah.
We are collectively having a hallucination about who they are, and they might not actually be a tangible person. But from what I hear on Reddit, we are all talking about this Jake fella that's just suddenly just appearing to all of us. And I don't know how they're getting a hold of the money and giving it to us, but they're doing it.
Did we just never come out of that like psilocybin trip that we were all jointly went on? We just took those mushrooms and we're still there.
Guys, we're still at Burning Man.
Oh my god. We never left the desert.
And Jake was our spirit guide. It's all coming together.
A spirit Jake.
He's the one that has given me crow vision.
And it's not useful at all. You're just seeing random shit. This bird is flying around and you're like, this is not helpful. I don't know. I don't even know where you are.
Half the time I'm flying over the city. The other half of the time I'm feeding digested bird, my baby birds their dinner.
We're just like, Clint, what's the crow doing now? It's just the same shit it always is doing. I don't know. Pecking around in the dirt.
Yeah.
Flying.
He got some food. He made another nest. I don't know.
Can you hold your head still for fucking 30 seconds? You're making me dizzy.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jake. I'm glad you're trolling Clint in that way. It makes me very happy.
It's to teach you a lesson, Clint, for making fun of bird enthusiasts. So anyway, thank you, Jake, for being one of our I don't know. Thank you, maybe Jake. Do you exist?
Does he? I don't
know.
know.
For being one of our meddling executives.
Who's to know?
Who's to say? Last
one.
Our
last one. We've got Todd. Now, Todd is the original designer of the board game Clue.
Damn.
He knows all the things about where it happened, who did the murdering, and with what. Like he was a very lonely child. He grew up in a mansion and had no playmates. And so he just made up, like he would just take things like candlesticks and bits of rope and wrenches and revolvers and just kind of like move from room to room and make up little murder mysteries with the stuffed animals, Mrs. Peacock, Professor Plum, Colonel Mustard. Like y'all thought those were names for people? No, those are fucking like teddy bears and shit. Yeah, he just raided the kitchen at his big giant mansion, grabbed a bottle of mustard, grabbed a plum, and then he went to like their hardware. Then he went to like their utility closet. Like, I'm gonna grab this rope. I'm gonna grab this wrench. And he's like, he just went from room to room. And he's like, all right, this time it was this just jar of mustard with this rope in the billiard room.
Super lonely kid. But hey, you know what? It paid off for him.
And we need to dispel the rumors that he was killing the staff. And naming them Colonel Mustard and Professor Plum. Those were actual items. Like he was not actually killing them. That would never happen in
it was all
the mansion of Milton Bradley.
That's right.
Yes. Oh my God, Todd Milton Bradley? That's who we're talking about? Wow.
Yes.
A Milton Bradley, one of our meddling executives. That's incredible. And luckily, like Todd, lonely kid making up his little stories, but what he didn't know, true crime's super in now. So now he's like one of the most popular guys, has this huge Clue franchise under his belt, and, is passing along some of those, some of that Clue cash over to us. So thank you very much, Todd. Todd Milton Bradley, the third.
It was not a mystery.
Absolutely.
No,
Todd Milton Bradley.
He gives us the money if we solve the problems.
Yes.
He'll lock us in our houses and make us do like basically an escape room.
We have to go to his house and play Clue like once a month, but it's fine. It's got good snacks.
He's super nice about it.
That took you guys. That only took you 38 hours. That's pretty good. Here's your $10.
Yeah.
Worth it.
We're like, yes.
We come out of the house all like haggard and just be like, oh my God, we gotta do it another month.
And he lives fucking far out there, so that the $10 barely covers for gas, but we're happy to do it for Mr. Bradley.
Yes. Milton Bradley the third. Todd Milton Bradley the third. Thanks, Todd.
Yep.
And thanks to all of our meddling executives. And if you would like to become a meddling executive, you can find us at patreon.com/itwasashitshow. There's a couple tiers. The $5 tier, which is Method Director, gets you ad-free episodes. Just FYI, if that's something you're interested in.
Yes.
So yeah, go check it out.
Did we mention that? Did we mention last time that all those episodes are up there now? So you can listen to every episode of It Was a Shit Show now on Patreon without ads.
The whole backlog, y'all.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we recently did a rankings video too, where we basically went through all of the movies that we covered in the last couple seasons and ranked them. And there's video, so you get to see our faces. So yeah, if you want to go check out all that stuff, go to patreon.com/itwasashitshow.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.